It was far from clean, but the Miami Heat get away with the win last night over the Knicks, 115 to 113. They avoided overtime with a final 2.5, 3 minutes that there's no way Eric Spoelstra is proud of. The Knicks go on like an 11-3 run late as the Heat had a 10-point lead, looking like they cruise into a win. Never easy when the Heat and Knicks face off, but they get the win. They seal the deal. They are now 4-2 without Bam Adebayo, who's still out with the toe injury. Tyler Hero's back at practice. Vibes are high. And most importantly, Kel'el Ware. Give my dog a hand. Kel'el Ware, bounce back game. Not going to get bullied again by Mitchell Robinson in the New York Knicks bigs. We're going to get into all of that and more on today's menu for All You Can Heat with Theo Dorsey, presented by Robinhood. Of course, we got the Heat bounce back win over the Knicks at home. We got Kel'el Ware season. As I'm starting to notice this Bam Adebayo injury, his absence over the last 6 games, opening the door for more progression from the second-year big out of Indiana. So I'm excited to see how that continues to push forward. And, of course, we'll get to the Wiggins off night, which is rare. In fact, the only one of the season. But, again, this is All You Can Heat with Theo Dorsey of ESPN South Florida. And it's always presented by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. And the Miami Heat were money when it mattered most. We'll get to where they are when it comes to clutch wins this season, which is way ahead of pace for what they were last year. But let's talk specifically about how this thing folded out. And to do so, how about we just bring up the box scores? And we'll start with what the Heat did to the Knicks. Matter of fact, forget the Knicks. Let's go right to the Miami Heat. Andrew Wiggins, not necessarily a star showing from him. His first single-digit performance of the year, but Kel'el Ware, what a game for him. 6 offensive rebounds. The Heat had 7 as a team. Ware, 6 of them on his own. He was fighting for position all night. He did not let Mitchell Robinson bully him. There were a couple of times he got, but he was on the right side of that thing. He added 16 points, 14 total boards, and he went 1 for 1 from beyond the arc. Gotta love that from Ware, +8 on the night, the best performance of anybody on the Miami Heat. Norman Powell got 20 shots up. He ended with 19 points. The Heat, 7 players in double digits. 7 players in double digits, none over 20 points. The high scorer of the night was Norman Powell. And again, his offense, his consistency, his presence, his rim pressure, as well as the way that he makes people respect him from beyond the arc, despite going 0 for 3, that has been necessary, especially in the absence of Tyler Hero. I just love everything that this Heat team provides. Simone Fontecchio, solid as always, 14 points, 4 for 7 from deep. The guy stripes it with the best of them. And it's not just when he's making shots, it's what he forces the defense to do, as they have to stick to him. They have to stay glued to him. He can shoot it really over a lot of the perimeter guys that try and close out on him. So that's a key part of the Heat offense. And then Jaime Jaquez Jr., steady as always, 13 points, 5 for 11 from the field. Not his most prolific night, but still efficient, which you like. And then Nikola Jovic. It's funny. If you told me before this game against the Knicks with no Hero, no Bam, that you get 5 points from Jovic and 6 points from Wiggins, neither one of them having an efficient night nor getting up enough shots to count or to make the Knicks feel threatened, I would have thought the Heat would have got dog walked in this one. But instead, it was a great team effort, a great team win. Loved seeing what they were able to do from beyond the arc. It was a bad shooting night from the Knicks, which we don't have to get too much on their behalf, but just more so want to highlight some of these Heat players, including Davion Mitchell, who he did miss a free throw late, which could have made it a 3-point game instead of a 2-point game. But he made the other one. He had 18 points on the night, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. Really the first game where that assist to turnover ratio it looks a little bit more staggering because Davion Mitchell has one of the highest assist to turnover ratios in the NBA so far this year. So not a great night from Davion, but solid defensively. Always helps when you don't have to go up against Jalen Brunson, but he was good all around for the Heat. And again, just steady play all around. Love what Kel'el Larsson was able to do. A lot of times Davion or Kel'el Larsson or really Wiggins were matched up on Karl Anthony Towns, and he has to be one of the more frustrating players in the league to root for because of how big he is, how willing he is to settle for deep jumpers. I think the Heat held him to 1 for 7 from three. It just was not falling for him, and he wasn't putting any pressure on the Heat when they did single him. Now, you did have a rotating over double when he tried to bring a couple guys down low and try to use his size, but he's just kind of slow to get there. And I say this as a guy that thinks Cat can be really good. I also noticed how frustrating it could be. We were at the Kaseya Center last night. The Knicks fans were absolutely deep. And as good of a night as they were getting out of McBride, they could have used a lot more from Cat. And you can hear a lot of whimpering, a lot of sadness, a lot of heckling of Cat as they watched him settle over and over again and it not work out. But that's credit to the Miami Heat defense, knowing the personnel, knowing how to guard it, and also being absolutely savvy with their rotations. Let's get to Kel'el Ware because it was a bounce back game for him. Let's not forget what just happened last time out, 140 to 132. The Heat looked terrible defensively against the Knicks last time out. They also allowed one too many offensive boards, one too many rebounds in general. They got absolutely bludgeoned on the glass. Not this time. Udonis Haslem called out Kel'el Ware on Amazon Prime Video nationally. We also heard Kel'el talk about how he would not let it happen again, and he didn't. One thing I love about what he's been able to do in Bam's presence or in Bam's absence is he's so coachable. He's so willing to adapt, and I think he's in the perfect environment right now. Like this is the perfect scenario for a guy like Ware who, for whatever inefficiencies that people thought he would have, I think he has the perfect surrounding between Spo, Bam, UD, and even Norman Powell, who has stepped into this veteran role almost seamlessly. I love what the Heat are able to get out of him as a presence offensively, but then also as a mentor. And he's talked about it all throughout the year. And now as the Heat stand 8-6, and we saw Kel'el Ware respond to some adversity, here's Norman Powell talking about how he's been coaching him through that. And what I love about this, 32-year-old Norman Powell can look at the young buck like Kel'el Ware, who I realized during Heat Media Day, again, he's a Gen Zer, right? We were talking about a lot of stuff hoops, and he talked about what his hobbies were, and he said he loves NBA 2K, right? He's got a couple of my players. He talked about he's got some 99 overall my players, so that's a way in which to connect to the young buck. Listen to how Norman Powell said he's been motivating Kel'el Ware, and see how it's a veteran presence that also understands how to be relatable and also how to get the most out of a guy who the Heat are going to need this year. Take a listen.
I think he's been great, honestly. I've been on him. Coach has been on him. I told him, I try to relate to them from, I'm a little older than them, but I always tell them there's a meter. Think of it as like 2K back in the day. There should be a meter, takeover meter in the game. And I told him, the bottom is G League and the top is generational, and I want him to be in that generational every single game because that's the talent that he has. And he's been great, especially these last few games, being able to start and getting the opportunity. And it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be perfect where he's hitting every shot and everything like that. But those hustle plays, those energy plays, those second and third opportunities, hustling for the ball, offensive rebounds, and things like that is what we need. We feed off that, and we saw that today. And I think he's doing a good job.
Extend that man right now. Extend that man. I don't care what the league rules are. I don't care what the cap situation is. I want Norman Powell to retire in a Heat jersey, man. Like that dude right there. It's not just what he does on the court. It's his presence off the court. It's his presence in that locker room. I don't know why it took us this long to get him in the Heat jersey, but I do see a guy who should be sticking around this organization for the long haul. And I know UD sees it. I know Spo sees it. I know the front office sees it. Keep that man in a Heat jersey. All the critics that talk down on the Norman Powell trade, look at us now as the Heat have been cruising, and specifically look at Kel'el Ware getting some mentorship, getting a little love from the vet there at the podium because he did seal it out. Now, Cat got a couple of offensive boards late, right? Like that last possession, it extended one or two shots too many, but Kel'el closed it out with a block that was called a goaltend, and then it was reviewed, and then it got reversed, and then the arena, Kaseya Arena, erupted which was a great to see. And the Knicks fans who were loud and proud. And I will say, I took the Bright Line down from West Palm to go to the Heat Knicks game. And I knew, I kind of expected there was going to be a lot of New York in the building. As you know, it's a transient town, and you got a lot of New Yorkers that are moving down to the Sunshine State. I get it. You like our sunshine over what you got going on up there, especially this time of the year. I expected it, but what I didn't expect was how late in the game, especially like even when Davion Mitchell was at the free throw line, it was almost as loud, if not louder. The Knicks fans heckling Mitchell as he missed one. You know, he split a couple at the line to keep it as a 2-point game. I will give the Knicks fans some credit. It got a little rowdy in there, and I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate that. But what I did appreciate was that long road trip back home for them as they take the L, and the Heat do get away with the win there. And for Kel'el Ware getting that block, being confident in his own ability to guard the rim, as well as the multiple second possessions he created for the Heat. Again, 6 offensive rebounds, a season high for him. That's what you want to see out of the young buck after being challenged and called out, and honestly, after getting bullied by Mitchell Robinson. A couple quick things on the Heat overall before we get into the Wiggins off night, which was absolutely weird. As things stand right now, the Miami Heat, 3rd in the league in points per game, 124.5. They still are scoring at a high clip despite a little bit of an off night. Most of that was just a game where on both sides you're missing stars, you're missing your offensive talent, and you also are more familiar with each other coming off of that 140 to 132 game. So you knew it wouldn't be that high scoring and prolific, especially between teams coached by those two dudes. But Heat still top 3 in offense right now, 2nd in the league in assists at 30 per game, and most not, I don't want to say importantly, but the thing that seems is going to stick the most is the 3-point shooting has been fire for Miami. 4th in the league in 3-point percentage, 38.5. And that even comes off of a night where Wiggins couldn't get it going. Norm Powell went 0 for 3. They are still overall one of the better, more efficient offensive teams in the league. And I think we might have hints that Tyler Hero is going to be back soon. Wouldn't it be great if we got Hero and Bam back right around the same time? Just kind of walk both of them back into the rotation. See what you do with Kel'el Ware, who's had a kind of up and down season where you start on you start in the starting lineup, you get relegated back to the bench for some games. He gets back into the starting lineup because Bam's absence. Like, it's that adaptability from him. It's Spo's ability to push the right buttons at the right time that is going to both translate into a Coach Spo Coach of the Year this year, which I've been calling my shot on, but then also translate to this team playing their way out of the play-in and into the top 6 of the East, top 5 most likely, and trying to make a push in the playoffs. It's early. They're 8-6. Staying stand, they would be the 7th seed. But again, they've done all of this without Hero, and they've gone 4-2 without Bam Adebayo. Great energy, great vibes around the Miami Heat right now and Heat culture. And I'm going to leave you with this, Heat Nation, as we wrap up another episode of All You Can Heat presented by Robinhood. The Heat have been clutch. The Heat have been great down the stretch. This, according to a tweet from Bobby Marks, who has his finger on the pulse nationally around the NBA, but specifically as well a lot with the Miami Heat. The Heat in clutch games this year have played 7 games that have been considered clutch games coming down to the wire. They're 5-2 in those. Last year, same Heat team, a lot of different faces though, 14-28. Things are much different this year. They have an identity. They have steady guys to go to, and they've been doing it all without Hero, who are getting back soon, and they've done a lot of it without Bam Adebayo. This is a good Heat team. It's a fun watch. If you are in the South Florida area, I encourage you to get down to Kaseya Center as many times as possible. I'll make sure I get out there as well often and early throughout this year, and I do believe that we have the makings of a team that can make a strong run. Coach Spo holding it down, still watching the rise of guys like, Drew Smith. I'm sorry it took me this long to get to Drew, who turned into Steph Curry overnight. Like, they get something out of so many players every single night, and they're still not at full strength. Watch out for these Heat. And I will leave with this. Andrew Wiggins off night. Don't expect more of it. 3 for 15, 6 points. Wiggins was the most steady and most consistent presence. Of course, he had the game winner that people herald, but beyond that, feels like night in and night out, you can count on his production. He still was good on the defensive end. Just had an off night shooting. Don't expect that to linger at all. I hope it's not the start of some kind of slump, because that guy's been ice cold for the Heat throughout the year. So looking forward to seeing him bounce back from that. Looking forward to seeing what the Heat can do in this in-season tournament, the NBA Cup. Hoping that this is something the Heat actually compete for this year, as they are actually locked in and playing really good ball in the regular season early, which you can't say every single year. So let's just continue to consume it all as I give you all you can Heat right here on ESPN South Florida. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and we'll be bringing you more throughout the year. Again, all you can Heat, presented by Robinhood, with Theo Dorsey with ESPN South Florida. See what them Heat do next week.